If you have ever felt overwhelmed trying to balance clinical excellence with running a practice, this conversation is going to change how you think.
The biggest lie is that, I can do this all myself.
We're talking about levels of burnout in dentistry today that, you just didn't see as much of back 15, 20, 30 years ago.
Quiet leadership and leadership by example is often a lot better than loud and boisterous but don't follow through.
So, what are the most important mindset shifts a dentist must make to move from a clinician to a business leader?
In one word, the ideal dental CEO would be
Welcome everyone to my podcast, The Dental Lens. Today we are joined by Shawn Peers, widely known as the Dental CEO Maker. He's been helping dentists step into the role of a true CEO so they can reduce stress, increase profitability, and actually enjoy running their practices again. Through Dental Peers, he's also giving independent dentists the kind of buying power traditionally only available to large DSOs, helping them save significantly on costs while building smarter, more efficient businesses. If you have ever felt overwhelmed trying to balance clinical excellence with running a practice, this conversation is going to change how you think. Welcome, Mr. Shawn. I'm very glad to have you on our podcast today.
Thanks very much for having me, Dr. Zaidi. It's a real pleasure to be here.
So, Dr. Shawn, you are a lawyer by profession, but now you are making a dentist as a CEO. Like, when did you start in dentistry? How did dentistry attract you?
Well, I guess to be perfectly honest, I think I kind of started to learn about it while I was in the womb, because my mom has been involved in dentistry pretty much my entire life. She was an office manager with back in the 80s, before we started calling them DSOs. She was the regional manager for one of the first corporate dental groups that existed in Canada. She's been involved in the industry for as long as I can remember. Even when I was doing my time 14 years as a lawyer practicing law, I had a pretty good buildup of dental clients, people that I would work with on partnership agreements, on associate agreements, various legal issues that would arise. And, I worked with them on that front for about 14 years when I decided that I wanted to make a little bit of a change and try to, I guess the best way to say it would be approach things from a more positive framework, because law can be a little bit negative at times. There's always a dispute going on. And I wanted to try and help dentists on the front end more. So I went back to school. I got my MBA and started working on helping dentists more from the upfront business side of things rather than just from the legal aspect when they're already in trouble.
I think what you're doing with Dental Peers is commendable, and you have been operating it since 1985. So, what is this evolution of dentistry that you have witnessed from 1985 till 2026?
To me, one of the biggest aspects, I think, is that dentists now need to be more intentional about the business side of the practice than I think they ever had to be in the past. You go back into the 80s and dentists made good money. It was a good living, certainly in Canada anyway. And it seemed to take place despite the fact that maybe dentists didn't fully understand why they were so successful. Things were simpler, right? The pre-internet days, your marketing budget was what you would put into the yellow pages and maybe some flyers distributed to your local community. Regulatory aspects hadn't developed to the same extent that they have now. Laws on for human resource management were different. Everything has evolved quite a bit. And I think the result is, as a business, dentists have to take a more intentional approach to what they are doing, what they are setting up, and how they are establishing their practice for success. And unfortunately, the dental schools haven't necessarily really focused too much on that side of things. So you get this group of dentists coming out of dental school where, they were always at a little bit of a disadvantage, not really understanding the business side. But I think that gap is wider now. I think there's more that they need to learn to really be successful. And I think that's causing a lot of stress. Dentistry has always been mentally difficult, but we're talking about levels of burnout in dentistry today that...
Yes. I think from past 10 years, the competition has become a lot more fiercer than It was before till 2010 also. If you opened a clinic, you would expect patients to walk in, but now you have to actively try to procure the patients for yourself because of the boom of the dental clinics everywhere. Like, I've been to Toronto, and in every mall, in every city, in the downtown, I have seen a dentist. Being a prosthodontist myself, my husband was saying, how will you survive here? I think I
Well, the joke, a few years ago used to be that there was a Tim Hortons and a dentist on every street corner. And now I'd say there's more dentists than
Yes,
there are Tim
especially in
Hortons.
downtown, I saw a lot of clinics, and the best part is like we don't have dentists in malls here. There, in even in the malls, I saw dental clinics there. So it was something new for me. Like, you are truly commercial now. Like, while shopping, the patient can come in while shopping, while just going through the mall, especially. So like,
Yeah, yeah, that's a feature. It definitely helps for walk up traffic and visibility. But at the same time, it makes often for more expensive rent. So you've got a higher overhead that you need to cover too. So there's a trade off.
you call yourself the dental CEO maker. So, how do you help dentists become a CEO of their practice?
I think the key to it is to get dentists comfortable with the idea that they don't have to be the ones doing everything. Dentists feel, I mean, it's busy enough as the CEO of your practice. One of the disadvantages, I guess, if you have, is that you're still the principal revenue generator, which isn't necessarily going to be the case for CEOs of other more non-dental businesses. So you have to spend a lot of time actually in the trenches, generating the revenue for your practice to be successful. And on top of that, now, as we touched upon, you've got a lot more responsibility with respect to the regulatory aspect, infection control, human resource management. You've got more to do in terms of marketing your practice. All these things are sort of adding up to make the operational side of the business that much more intense. And dentists often feel they have to be the ones to do it. It's their business. Only they can do it. And I'm looking at it from the standpoint of saying, I want you to invest in developing your team. There's an expense involved, and I appreciate that. I understand that. But I want you to invest in delegating tasks to your team, which means also developing the skills in your team so that they can perform those tasks, but get comfortable to set up a system so that you still know the information you need to know as a CEO, but you don't necessarily have to be involved in every minute granular detail that you would have had to have been in before. So the biggest aspect sometimes is kind of getting them to let go just a little, so that they can focus on the things they need to focus on and truly allow their team to develop and look after those aspects of the practice that they would be better suited taking responsibility for.
Like, every day, I think you need to evaluate what more processes doesn't need you anymore. And if you want to scale, you can be in the trenches in one practice, maximum two or three. But if you want to really scale, you cannot be running everything on by your own self.
100% agree with you there. It's you have to understand that if you want an office manager to look after human resource management for you, to deal with any issues that arise, you have to support that office manager. So that means making sure the manager is trained to have the skills to be able to look after those issues. And then, sometimes what winds up happening is the team doesn't like what the office manager's decided, so they come to you and you override your office manager. Well, doctor, you've just made sure that the team's going to keep coming to you. The focus has to be to support the manager and say, well, what did the manager say? We're going to go with that. And develop the team along. It still has to be on your vision. I'm not saying you let the manager do what they want. You still have to oversee the manager. But you have to do it in a way that allows them to take on the responsibility of the tasks you would like to get off your plate.
I think develop the leadership of the manager so that everyone follows his lead and not come to you for everything. And as you said, like, if we don't develop the leadership management, then obviously, and it will lead to the burnout of the dentist. And as you had seen the description in your LinkedIn account that the dentistry is dropping from the number one career to 70 in career desirability, and that is within 10 years, 2013 and 2024. So, do you think this is also a cause of burnout for the dentists?
I mean, I do think it's all kind of linked in, you know. I mean, we are seeing, in some cases, depending upon where you're located, a real challenge in terms of the top end revenue. But at the same time, we're seeing expenses increase dramatically since the pandemic. And we're seeing the cost of labor has gone up significantly. Dentists are always being approached by some new provider with the latest technology that they have to have for success, and it all sounds really good and sexy, and if you're prone to succumbing to that sort of shiny object syndrome, it's hard to say no. And I think it puts a lot of pressure because you're always wondering, what's the next thing I need to do to guarantee success? And really, a lot of the times what you truly need to be doing is focusing on the basics. You still have to be up to speed. You have to be modern. You have to make sure that patients that might be tech savvy are going to be aware of that you are providing them with the most state-of-the-art modern levels of care. But you have to be able to do it in a way that you're feeling that you're not just doing it because I'll fail if I don't. So it's about going back, setting the basics, setting your vision, and making sure you proceed with the investments in your business, be it technology, be it skills development, whatever it might happen to be, that fit your needs in the moment and not necessarily feel that you need to be doing everything that's out there.
Yes. So, you actually coach dentists to operate like a CEO. So, what are the two or three most important mindset shifts a dentist must make to move from a clinician to a business leader?
Well, I mean, the first thing is to understand business. I mean, a lot of the times that's not something that the dentists are trained to understand. So they have to understand that it's okay to be a professional and a healthcare provider at the same time as you are a business person. It's okay to talk about marketing. I tell dentists to get comfortable with the idea of selling dentistry so long as what they are selling is care that patients need. It's not about obviously just putting out something that is going to bring you revenue if the patient doesn't need it. It's what am I doing to care for the patient and making sure that my level of case acceptance is where it needs to be. And a lot of the times that comes down to selling skills. And dentists sometimes aren't comfortable with that idea. They hear the word sell and it's a four-letter word and they get nervous about it. And I'm saying it's okay to sell dentistry, but you have to also understand what the patient needs and make the two connect. So that is one of the aspects I think they need to shift. The other aspect, I think, and we touched upon it already, is that idea of trusting your team.
Yes.
Trusting and investing in them. Dentists often like to save money, and I understand the motivation for that. But if you are saving money in areas that hold back the development of your practice, you could be doing more long-term damage. Can you change your mindset to start differentiating between good, legitimate savings versus investments in your practice? Investments that will bring a rate of return, both in terms of the personal development of yourself and your team, but also bring you more financial rewards. More financial rewards that you can invest in your practice, that you can share with the team and enjoy for yourself. So I think getting dentists comfortable with the idea of letting go and delegating and just understanding that they have to oversee things, not run every minute detail, is one of the biggest shifts of the mindset that I think dentists need to undergo. It comes down to time management. Dentists have to understand the role of time management so that they can focus on long-term investments in their practice and not just what do I need to do today to make money.
Yes. I think as you said, I think no one put it this way. Like, what is saving and investment? This difference between the saving and investing. I think it is a remarkable criteria that you have to decide whether the investment is worth the saving, or it is eroding the what is profitability of the practice. If you are just saving the money, it can do an opposite effect and erode the profitability if you are not investing it properly. So I think this is the main shift that we need, difference between costing and saving and investing. Yes.
I agree. Yeah, wholeheartedly.
And you often talk about working in your area of genius. So how do you help dentists identify what that is, and what do you do with everything outside of it?
Well, I mean, I think one of the first things is to identify your passion.
Hmm.
Dentists have different areas of passion within the practice. There's so many things that they can be doing. So what really drives you? What motivates you? What are those parts of the day that when they happen,
Hmm.
they really ring your bell? I think you really need to start from that kind of a foundation and pick your passion, develop it, evolve with it, and really learn about that. Your area of expertise is obviously going to clearly be something to do with dentistry.
Yes.
But you know what? I've known some dentists that aren't like that they are the ones that might be more entrepreneurial. They're the ones that might want to get out of the operatory, but still have a role to play in overseeing the business of dentistry and developing and growing something. So find those areas that truly motivate you and really look for the ways that you can develop them. I mean, we all have certain natural skills, and I think there's still an ability to learn so much more, and that becomes part of, okay, what am I going to invest in on myself, on my growth, on my development? So don't be shy to find those areas, grow them, develop them, but you've got to actually talk them through with yourself. Sometimes it comes down to really sitting down,
Hmm.
taking some time on a quiet moment,
Yes.
be old school, grab a pen and paper. Maybe that's a sign of my age. I don't know, but I sometimes think that's more effective than typing it into a file on your computer,
Yeah.
and
Actually,
write
the
stuff down.
owner of ChatGPT, uh, he also said that he still uses pen and paper to think about it. So I don't think it's old school. It's kind of rewiring your brain. The man who invented ChatGPT said that I still use pen and paper to kind of think for himself.
I mean, I think it forces you. It removes you from the technology of the moment. You get on the computer, the tendency to then run to whether it's Claude or Chat GPT for ideas.
Hmm.
It's there, and I'm not saying don't use them, but it's like when I write an article or a blog or something like that, I write my first draft myself. I might then get an AI program to review it,
Yes.
and then I'll still look at that and say, okay, I didn't like what the AI program did, and rewrite other sections. So don't take the human element out of it. Don't take
Hmm.
your passion out of it, because the AI programs can't duplicate you.
They don't have the heart to put the passion in it. They can just write
Exactly.
tools, but they cannot say why you have to.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think a lot of the times it's taking those moments, finding those quiet moments where you can isolate yourself,
Hmm.
and sitting down and really doing some serious self-reflection.
Yes. But how do you say, like, a person who is a pure clinician and he wants to expand his practice, but he is not confident about the business skills? Like, what do you suggest to those dentists who want to expand, but they're not keen on just managing the people? Most famously, dentists are introverts.
They are, and I guess the first thing that I remind them is that you don't have to be an extrovert to be a great manager of people. I think sometimes people make that mistake. They look at things and think, "Oh, I don't have what it takes to be a leader. That's not who I am." And I look at back at them and I say, "Look, obviously you're going to benefit from some leadership courses,
Yes.
because maybe that will help. help you to see the role that an introverted person can actually play in being an effective leader. But I also like to look at them and say, reflect on your life a little bit. Leadership's not about anything as fancy as we sometimes like to make it out to be and pretend that it is. Leadership is largely about how we relate with people.
Yes.
And these are skills we learned as little kids in the play box, in the sandbox and stuff like that, right? Go back on some of the lessons that your own life has taught you from the time you were the smallest of children in terms of how do you relate with people? How do you interact? Because leadership really comes down to that. So it's sometimes about just removing this block that says I'm an introvert, I'm best when I'm only working in this little space of a mouth. And that's when I'm at my happiest. And I'm not going to tell them that that's not where they shouldn't be happy. But that doesn't mean that you still can't be effective as a leader. Quiet leadership and leadership by example is often a lot better than loud and boisterous, but don't follow through.
I think leadership is more about inspiring people to do better than being an extrovert person. Yeah. So can you share a coaching success story, like where a dentist transformed their practice and their life after working with you? It can be anonymized.
Oh, definitely have to keep things anonymous on that front for sure. I guess, one of the biggest ones that I can recall was working with a dentist that even the patients had come to sort of expect certain things. This dentist was not comfortable with their ability to sell.
Okay.
If a patient had an old filling that it's been there for a while, and as can happen over time, the more decay happens, that filling is no longer as effective as it used to be. And this dentist had this knack for just saying, we'll go in and we'll patch it up.
Okay.
And patients were calling and saying, I think my filling needs to be patched up. The team was referring to the dentist as patch.
Okay.
And I mean, to the point where this dentist would patch up the same filling 4-5 times. I mean, there's not going to be that much of the tooth left at that point, right? I mean, you're going to be looking at this and saying, maybe you can patch it and it'll hold together for another couple of months, but really, isn't a crown going to be the better option at this point in time? And it was converting that dentist to be comfortable with their ability to talk to a patient and not appear salesy. Like this isn't about, I'm
Just giving them
I'm
better
on.
options.
Yeah, I'm not standing there like I'm the on an infomercial late at night, offering three crowns for the price of four or something like that, or sorry, 4 crowns for the price of three. Um, got my numbers reversed, but it was this idea of just to say, can you talk openly about this being the best option? And suddenly they were booking crowns. And the dentist was getting more and more comfortable with it. So it was just moving that transition with this dentist to feel I can be in charge. I can be the CEO of my practice and I can comfortably sell when I know ethically that's the best option.
Yes. I think it's not even selling, it's just telling the patient what is better for them rather than, like I would be say it is unethical or it will be selling when you say just remove the root canal and get an implant. So I think that is selling, but here you are just giving a better option to the patient to choose from. And I don't think dentists should see it as selling, but as getting the patient to accept what is best for them.
But this seemed to be a roadblock to this dentist. This dentist looked at it and said, "I can patch this crown for a fraction of the cost, or this filling for the fraction of a cost of what a crown would be. So I think it's an easier sell." That's what the dentist would say to me. And I mean, I just had to speak with them and get them comfortable with the idea of being able to look at it and say, it's okay to sell the more expensive option if that is the best case option for the patient.
Yes.
Let the patient be the one to decide. At the end of the day, it's not for you to decide what treatment to proceed with. But give, as you said, give the options. To me, that is still selling. Giving options is still selling, but it's selling ethically. And that's okay. That's fair. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's some dentists just need to get into a mindset of being able to say, sometimes the more expensive option truly is the better one for the patient to go with. And I can't force them to do it, but I can certainly present it in a way that lets them know I think this is what's best for them.
Yes. Uh, it's like cost versus value analysis that you can show to the patient that this may cost you this much, but again you have to do round trips to the dentist, and if it gets infected, again the root canal. So you can show the difference between the cost and the value of the treatment and get it.
100%. And it was simply a matter of getting this dentist to say, we've done our best over the years. We've patched this tooth a few times. We could do it again, but you've already been down this path a number of times. I think at this point, to patch it one more time, we're just going to be back here again in 2, 3, 4 months. And the best case scenario now is to look at a crown.
Yes.
And when the dentist got comfortable with that language, they realized that, yeah, I am giving a better service to my patients as a result of doing this. By taking that approach, that it is a business approach, it's more efficient, it's giving the patient what they need. That's what you do in business. You give the customer what the customer needs.
Yes. So, I think independent dentists have more of this problem than the DSOs, and they have because they have the treatment coordinators and ton of other people who are doing the business for them. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of private practices themselves have treatment coordinators to help out on that front, and I certainly recommend that as an option too. I think it allows someone with a certain degree of expertise greater time to sit down with the patient and truly explain everything. I think the dentist still has to have skills to talk about it as well, though. But sometimes being able to spend that time, maybe not in an operatory chair, but in a more comfortable office, the patient feeling a little bit more comfortable asking questions, that can certainly help. And plenty of private practices are using treatment coordinators as well. And I certainly recommend that as an option. That's, again, an investment in the business, an investment in patient care. It's just a way to help make sure patients truly see the value in the services that you can provide. And I think being able to communicate that effectively is absolutely vital.
Yes. What do you think is the biggest lie dentists tell themselves about owning a practice?
Oh, wow. The biggest lie that dentists tell themselves about owning a practice. I think I have to go right back. I think that the biggest lie is that,
They
I
can
can
do
do
it.
this all myself.
Yeah. Yes.
I can do this all myself. I totally agree. If you have the time, there's probably nothing about running a dental practice that you can't do on your own.
Mm.
But do you really want to spend all that time, or do you want to focus on the aspects that you enjoy,
Yes.
oversee the business, and still get out and enjoy life? I mean, we are working to generate income so we can get out of the operatory as well, get out of the office, enjoy time with our families, for doing our hobbies, exploring our passions.
Mm.
So the idea that I have to do it myself, nobody else can do it as well as I can, is sort of the biggest lie that I think dentists have to work their way past.
What do you think the first thing they should outsource in a practice if they want to buy back their time?
I boy, it's going to vary from practice to practice depending on what their needs are. You see, some of them are going to be some degree of outsourcing with respect to marketing.
Mm.
Some of them it could be aspects of their human resource management, and every practice is going to be different, and they're going to, some will have set up great internal systems,
Mm.
but maybe their ability to contract out to third parties outside of the practice to get areas done that they don't have the expertise to work on internally might be different. So there's no one that I would say, oh, yep, you have to do this over that. Because it really depends. What are the strengths of the practice? You need to spend some time understanding where the practice is currently to understand what they need to perhaps delegate outside, or find or hire another team member, or just delegate responsibilities to another team member to look after.
But with every additional team member, the overhead cost will increase to the dentist. So, how much do you think AI will be helpful for them, like automation and their AI receptionist, patient recall? Where do you see?
That's the big question these days, and I don't know that anyone has a really clear answer on that front. I think I know I've been speaking with another individual here in Canada as well that has a particular expertise in the world of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence and everything. And I mean, we've looked at it from the standpoint that a lot of dentists are really going down this path, finding it the sexy path they have to go down. Um, that doesn't necessarily mean you've got to just jump into something. Again, it comes down to what are your needs. Don't invest in something that you are not going to wind up being able to use effectively. Um, and I'm not saying this to be anti AI. I'm certainly a big proponent in the potential that it has. I think for the most part, dentists are probably still most comfortable with the more clinical features, that ability that it has to identify caries or areas of decay and that kind of thing, and to be able to use it to talk to patients. I think that's kind of an easier investment. It can be a great tool to help train younger dentists. And it also can be a great way. I mean, let's face it. You put an X-ray up onto a screen and you tell a patient, here, this is what I'm seeing. These are the signs of caries development that I'm seeing, and patients will just kind of nod along and say, oh yeah, 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 yeah. But most of the time they have no clue what they're looking at. The simple act of having something that, as simplistic as the AI might be, but it colors it in and makes it more visible, that can really, really help. So I think in terms of ease of transition into that world, it's an easy route to go. When we talk about some of these AI receptionists and everything, some of them they're certainly improving. They still have ways to go, but they'll improve quickly. I mean, that's the beauty of AI. It can grow and improve quite dramatically, pretty quickly. But is it just automatic because it exists that you need to go there? Not necessarily. I think dentists have to really get comfortable with the idea, and there's still a human element. Dentistry still is about the relationship you develop with the patients. And going too quickly down the AI path might make it hard for you to distinguish yourself from the practice next door. So really take the time to understand what your needs are and how you're going to use it, and how a particular AI program might help you explore those needs before just diving in. That's always the advice that I give when dentists talk to me about, should I invest in this program?
Yes, I think they should start with the out of office hours for the AI receptionist, like see how it handles any missed calls, or if anyone tries to reach out. The patient communication is the easiest way to get into the AI, and apart from the diagnostics, of course, and where you can, if you want to just check it and don't go into it completely, then start with after office hours, I would say. It can be an easier, because anyway your office is closed and there is no receptionist. At least an AI one will pick up and answer the call.
I mean, I'm certainly a believer in its potential. But I guess, you asked where I think they should go first. I think they need to go where they're comfortable. And I think they're going to be most comfortable clinically. And that's why I kind of look at that and say, maybe that's an easier transition for you, because you're dealing with something new, but it's in your comfort zone. But absolutely, AI, in terms of what it can do to answer calls outside of typical office hours, I think can be a factor, whether it's in the form of whether it's a phone call or an online chatbot.
Chatbot, yes.
I think because a lot of the times people aren't necessarily picking up the phone. They're finding you online, and having that AI interaction, even if it's through text, can also be beneficial. But you've got to be comfortable with how it answers some of those questions, because sometimes it's not
Yeah.
quite where you want it to be.
First train the AI, then use it.
100%. Understand that there's going to be bumps along the way. And I think that's part of the process as well. Um, you know, is there a bump in the road? Absolutely. Well, then don't just throw it out.
Yes.
Fix whatever that problem was, and let it develop and let it grow and learn more.
Yes, I think there's a learning curve for everything. Like for as every procedure that you learn, it takes time. I think with technology also there is a learning curve, but we should be open to it. Not like as you said, take a pragmatic approach rather than being a pessimist or an optimist. I think experimenting is what will lead it to develop.
100%. And part of the growth with respect to it, part of it is your comfort in using it. You'll make mistakes in using it and interpreting the data that comes from it. And part of it is the AI may not just yet have enough data to give the answers that you want yet, and you have to work with that and give it some time. Where humans make mistakes, the AI, believe it or not, it's a machine. It can only go on what it knows. So it may make some mistakes along the road. You don't throw it out and say, well, I tried it and it didn't work, so I'm just going to abandon it. Well, no, let it evolve, let it develop, and see where it goes, and track things. I mean, one of the things that dentists don't always do is track that success rate. How, when you are getting communication, whether it's through an AI chatbot online or over a phone, what's the success rate of bringing that patient in to schedule an appointment? Analyze, same as you would with a human receptionist. It's always good to monitor and hear what did your human receptionists do well in terms of their communication and their conversations with patients. What do they need to be trained on to be better? Well, sometimes you got to take the same approach with the machine and not simply say, "Oh, the machine blew it. I'm just going to get rid of it. It's clearly a waste of money."
So I want to talk about the dental peers and how you're, I think this is the first time I came across a GPO group purchasing thing when I saw your profile, and I didn't know that it existed. So can you walk us through exactly what dental peers does and what a typical member might save in a year?
Pretty simple and straightforward. It's just about combining the power of the dollar, the purchasing power that multiple dentists can have together, as opposed to acting alone. I mean, I've gone out and I've used the power of having multiple members who are all independent dentists. They still make the decision as to what it is they want to purchase. And we go out to various suppliers and say, okay, in exchange for being the preferred provider, in exchange for my assistance to market your business, what will you give us on pricing? And we simply negotiate, and we cover as many bases of the business, from dental sundries to commercial insurance. We cover the AI world. We cover, we're getting more and more into the cloud practice management providers and stuff like that, and talking about what can they do with their systems to offer a benefit to our members. So it's simply about still allowing the power to stay with you as the individual practice owner to make the decision, but at the same time giving you a little bit more clout on negotiating price, because I've done that, and I work with my members to always be improving that as well.
So how many members do you have in your studio?
So we have 60 different individual practices across the country in different areas, represented. I think we're in 6 provinces of 10 in Canada. So we're spread out, which is good, and we're always looking to try to add to that and learn from our members, right? I mean, there are things that a new member can bring to the table that maybe some of the existing members they've not gone down that path before. They're not purchasing a particular area. So we like to share information as much as possible. It's up to the dentist in terms of what they're comfortable with, but it is about sharing information. It's about providing little bits of educational information as well. I like to work with some of the partners that provide services to our members, and just record short educational pieces that I can share that I think provide an added value over and above just the savings we can provide.
Where do you think dental most practice owners overlook when calculating their finances?
Well, I think one of the big aspects that they will overlook on that front is this feeling that I can pay a staff member to go out and find the best deal. It's like, okay, absolutely. Now, how much, if let's say you're paying that team member $30 an hour,
Yes.
and they spend 3 hours a week shopping around for you, and so there's $90 in labor that they've just had to spend, and maybe as a result they've saved you $1,500 finding the best deals for you.
Yeah.
Now, what could they have done to have generated revenue up front? And how much revenue? If they've been, we all know virtually every dentist out there has money sitting in their files somewhere. Treatment that they've recommended that patients haven't committed to. And it can fall through the cracks. What if we could look at sort of reactivating some of that, having that team member reach out to patients? All of a sudden now that same $90 that you've spent to get them to save you $1,200 to $1,500 on supplies, maybe they generate $10,000, $20,000 in revenue, $30,000. Who knows? Who knows what they find? So are you losing dollars to save pennies?
Yes.
Again, it comes down to that idea about seeing these things as an investment rather than just a cost.
Yes. And they still cannot get the same negotiate. They don't get the same negotiation power as you say, as a group practices, where bulk of practices are committing to buy something. They are definitely get much more savings than just an individual who wants to go and buy a thing. It doesn't matter the dentist reaches out or a individual person, an employee reaches out. I think the bargaining power doesn't increase with that. But I think as a part of your group or GPOs, dentists will have a significant factor savings or investment, as you say. I think,
I agree. I mean, I think over the long term, you might find the odd special that will compete here and there, but those are the unicorns. The long term, over the long haul, I think our record speaks for itself.
yes. I think what is the single biggest objection you hear from dentists? Like, who are the fans about joining this GPO?
Everything comes down to money, right? I mean, they'll look at it and think, I have to pay a fee to be part of a membership. I can just have my staff shop around. And again, it just comes back to that idea that they think that they're already spending the money on the staff member. So why would they spend more
Yes.
to get what they perceive to be the same result or close enough? And I think it's that idea that getting them to understand that the team member could be better used in other aspects to drive more revenue, to provide better patient care, to provide a better patient experience. All of those things feed in to making your practice more successful on the top end, at the same time as helping to wind up saving money on the back end by being part of a group where those negotiations are looked after for you.
I think if I were a practice owner, I would join your group.
You'd be more than welcome.
Yeah, hopefully one day.
Well, just let me know. You'd be more than welcome to join.
Thank you. So, one habit that separates struggling versus thriving dentists.
That habit, you know, It's that feeling that if I need to make my team better, we need to have team meetings, I'm going to squeeze them in at lunch hour. Don't. Doctor, team meetings are valuable sources of time for communicating issues and sharing problems and moving forward to finding solutions, but you have to set up a meeting in a way that it will be successful. And squeezing it in over lunch hour because, oh, we don't want to give up any time when patients could be in the chair, that's lost revenue. No, again, it's an investment. If you make things work more efficiently because you solve some of the problems in your practice by having a meeting where you've given time to develop solutions and then implement them, you will be better off in the long term. You'll fill more open time that you might be experiencing because you've got a solution your team can get behind. So get over this idea that you're going to squeeze team meetings in over lunch. They're not effective. You don't have enough time.
I think team meetings are important to share your vision, to like get everyone on the same page and drive towards one goal.
I completely agree. It's about communication. It's about being able to let the team know what your vision is, but also have the team reflect that back about their concerns and being open to hearing as well as talking. So the best leaders on that front, they don't necessarily do all the talking, right? They do a lot of listening.
Like your receptionist and treatment coordinators are more in touch with the patients than you are, and patients also feel a bit comfortable with them, and listening to them always gives you many points where you can improve your practice and get more revenue or improve the patient experience.
The value of the input that you can receive from your team member it's hard to measure, but it's wow, it's there.
In one word, how would you describe an ideal dental CEO?
In one word, the ideal dental CEO would be open. Someone who's open to learning, open, as we just discussed, to input from their team,
Yes.
open to improvements, somebody who is simply willing to be that open book.
Willing to learn, willing to adapt.
Yeah, you've got to have the vision. You set the parameters, you steer the ship. But you have to be open to what you are learning from the environment around you, from your patients, from your team, from every opportunity that you have. And the best leaders will understand their own limitations and be willing to accept input and criticism sometimes from other sources. So be open.
That's a beautiful thought, actually. One book every dental practice owner should read.
I was a big fan of Disney U.
Disney U.
Disney U, and it was the idea. What there were two things that really struck me. The first part was that really struck me was the idea that as Walt Disney developed Disney U to train new people coming in and onboarding cast members, as they always like to call them. There was this onboarding process that we often overlook in the world of dentistry, right? We hire someone, they come in for their first day of work. Here's your workstation, have fun. And dentistry, you talked about the importance of onboarding, and it talked about the importance of the role that you as the leader play in that onboarding process. The fact that Walt Disney would take at least a half day during the Disney U educational process to new cast members, where he himself would appear.
Okay.
And everyone was like, we're not even out on working full time here, and he's taken time. Isn't he too busy for this? And he felt, no, you are the success because you're the ones that are going to be dealing with all the people that come through the gates and come to Disney World. And we want to make sure that their experience is that of the happiest place on earth. And it won't happen if we don't invest in you. So I am here to show the value I place in you. So I think that struck me as a big aspect, because I think doctors, when you are hiring somebody, even if it's not someone that's going to be working knee to knee with you as your dental assistant or anything, but might be somebody who's working in your admin team, and your time that you might spend with them might not be the greatest, invest a little bit of time to go let that person know that they are welcome, that you value them, that they are part of your team, and they will feel that much more special. So that struck with me. And the other aspect is, when they were designing Disney World, Walt Disney would often be seen down at knee level, looking at what they were putting in place. And the reason for it is, he said, people will not have a good time if kids are upset, and kids need to see stuff. If we build all these things that we want them to see and then obstruct their sight lines with railings at a level right with their eye view, we will have upset kids who will cry and scream and won't be happy, and that means we will have frustrated parents who will not be enjoying the experience. So he got down to see what his park looked like from the perspective of what he felt was his most important customer. So doctors, walk through your practice from the front door all the way to all those areas that the patient sees, and view it from the perspective of your patient. Those would be the biggest lessons I got from Disney U as a book.
Actually, I'm overwhelmed by these things that you are saying, because no one thinks that way. Like, you know, uh, going through the your clinic as a patient. I think, and I think if you cannot do it yourself, at least ask someone else to do it, because fresh pair of eyes is always welcome, because you are immune to your own mistakes. You cannot see them, but for
I agree.
someone
Yeah.
else,
No, that's a great add-on for it, I think.
because like it's your practice, you built it, you will be expecting it, so you cannot see if anything is amiss in that. I think it's a wonderful book and everyone should read it. Sometimes we get
Yeah.
just lessons which is unrelated to our industry.
And that's why I said, like, it has nothing to do with dentistry directly, but
Yes.
I think it's
All
incredibly
about the
valuable.
experience. Yeah, patient
I'm sorry?
experience. It's all about the patient experience.
It is. It is. It's about making sure that, your vision is actually something that your patients can see. Because it's, you, as you pointed out, by having that extra pair of eyes come through, you fill in the cracks because you know what your vision is. So you think that the patient will see what you're seeing, but your patient isn't coming at it from your mindset.
Yes.
So they'll look at something different. But just the fact that Walt Disney saw enough to get down to the height of what a 6-year-old would see, and realize that you block the sight line. I can't see all the characters during a parade. I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to cry. It's a long day carting kids around in Disney World. It might be hot and humid. I could get really frustrated. People won't come back. People won't recommend anyone to come back if that's the experience. Well, doctors, we still, however much we invest in online marketing, on social media marketing, we still know the value of word of mouth.
Yes.
Create something that the patients will want to talk about.
A genius lies in the details, and now that Disney is one of the biggest, many people have the dream of visiting Disney once in their lifetime. I think it gets down to this, as you have explained.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. They may not have the dream of visiting the dentist once in a lifetime, but they still have to go.
Yes. Like if you have to go, you have to go to the best dentist who is giving you the best experience, and your practice will come into mind if you implement it.
Exactly, exactly. So make it about that. Don't be shy.
If independent dentistry is going to make a comeback, as as a lucrative career for younger generations, what do you think needs to change at an industry level, not just at the practice level?
Well, I'm not so sure that I think independent dentistry is in need of a comeback. I think it's going to continue to coexist alongside the corporate world, and that's fine. There's a place for it. I'm not one that's critical of corporate dentistry. I think it does. It's there are people that it suits them better. I've had I've had members of my group where I've recommended that they consider it as an option because I just didn't feel that practice ownership was necessarily for them. But I think what dentists need to do if they want to look at their independence and to work in an environment where this is their practice as opposed to working in a corporate group, then I think it gets back to, like we said at the very outset, it gets back to being intentional. I think the idea about taking that time in advance to set up a vision for your practice. I talk to dental students sometimes and I tell them, develop your own personal business plan now while you're still in dental school. Take the time to envision what you want for your career. And understand that the minute you finish writing it, it will probably be outdated. Something will happen that will change the course of your plans. But it's like anything. If I'm navigating in a particular direction and I get driven off course, I know what I need to do to correct if I know where it is I'm going. But if I'm just not intentional, I have no plan, I'm just sitting back and letting the wind blow me in the direction it wants to blow me, then I'll wind up wherever it takes me. And that may not necessarily be the most satisfying location for what I want out of life. So be intentional about what you want from your practice and how it will fit in with your plan for your life. And I think it's that idea about taking the time and thinking these things through, and again, break out that pen and paper, write it down.
So, what do you want dentists listening to this episode take it away? Like the most biggest lesson you want them to gain from this episode?
I want them to feel confident that they are working in a wonderful profession. They have the opportunity to make such a profound difference in the lives of the people they touch, be it their team members, be it their patients. The power that you have to truly be a difference maker is incredible. I think you just need to understand that focusing only on the clinical can leave a lot of things to chance. Always, always strive for clinical excellence, but understand where it fits in the overall dynamic of dentistry and where it fits in your career so that you can have the most satisfying career, the one that maybe you always sort of thought dentistry would provide, but maybe you're kind of struggling with achieving.
So, what are the 5 KPIs dentists should start measuring in their clinic to achieve what they want from the practice?
I mean, boy, the world today, we do tend to be so focused on KPIs. That's sort of part of the business training, and I think dentists get overwhelmed with them. I Obviously there has to be that element of production. I mean, that's the first question that gets asked. Historically speaking, a lot of the times dentists didn't know what their monthly production was. You've got to start with at least knowing what that is. You also need to start with understanding what are your collections, because collections are going to talk about where your cash flow is. And at the end of the day, production is great, but if the money's not actually coming in, then that becomes a problem. I look at it from the standpoint as well of what is my net patient inflow. How many new patients am I seeing and how many patients am I losing? Because I want to know why I'm losing them. Am I losing them because, okay, they're moving? They're moving to a different city. There's nothing I can do about that. Unfortunately, some patients will pass away. Perhaps we need to reach out to the families and pass on our condolences. But am I losing patients as well because of something that I could have controlled and prevented? I want to know what particularly when it comes to new patients, what my case acceptance rate is. Are patients accepting the treatment that I recommend? Are they booking those next appointments? And I want to know, to the extent that I can measure it, I want to know what my team satisfaction is.
Yes.
We always talk about what we're doing on these other fronts in terms of getting the patients to come in. What's the money? What's the new patient acceptance? That kind of thing. How's my team? Because they will drive a lot of your success, and they will be responsible for a lot of your failure if you are not running a successful team. So if they're not satisfied,
Yes.
am I taking the pulse on that? That's a hard KPI to put into a number.
Yes.
So I kind of toss it out there loosely because it's not going to show up on any dashboard all that readily. But I think it's something. It's a big part of the pulse you have to take care of.
And they are the most overlooked part of the clinic. They are the most critical, but they are the most overlooked part.
We go on this theory that your job is to answer the phone. Anyone can answer the phone. Well, anyone can answer a phone. Can they answer a phone effectively? Those are two different things. Picking up a phone and saying hello, I've answered the phone. Good for me. Picking up a phone and making a patient or a potential new patient feel that this is their dental home, that's a skill that you need to train.
Whether the phone call turns into an appointment, that is I think one of the KPIs we have to take to measure the success.
Yeah, we can measure those things for sure, and those are aspects, but I still bring it back to the idea of, okay, how satisfied, how happy is the team? How happy are they in their career development? Am I developing the skills of my team? Do I need to invest a little bit in that in order to create a greater level of satisfaction?
Yes, sure. So, if any dental practice owner wants to join the dental peer, what is the first step they need to do before joining the GP or starting coaching with you?
Just reach out to me at any point in time. You can call me at 613-867-8502, or you can email me at Shawn, SHAWN, at dentalpeers.ca, and reach out and let's get the conversation started. We'll see if you think that this is a great fit for you, and I look forward to engaging with anyone that wants to learn more about what Dental Peers can bring to the table for them.
Thank you, Shawn, for coming today and giving such wisdom about the dental practice. As we wrap up, I think one thing is very clear: dentistry has not become a worst profession, but the way we approach it has to evolve. You can't just be a great clinician anymore. You have to think like a CEO. You cannot just be an employee. And today's conversation really showed that when you take control of the business side, your time, your system, your numbers, you don't just build a better practice, you build a better life. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and giving dentists a completely new perspective on what's possible.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was a pleasure talking to you.
It was my pleasure and it was my honor, and I hope we collaborate in future too.
I would look forward to it.
Thank you.